What is regearing your truck? Why should you regear your truck? And what are you going to notice after you do regear your truck? We're going to find out today. Today in the shop we have multiple vehicles with different gears in them, but what we're really going to talk about today is this 90s Ford. It's got a big block and an automatic. It had factory 342 gears. Customers had 37s on it for a while. We went up to 38s. And so we are gearing this truck, and let's go over what that means and why we did it. So the gears we talk about when we talk about regearing a truck are the ring and pinion. So what we have here is a ring and pinion. The pinion is this longer, straighter shaped gear. This is what is actually connected to the driveline, which goes through the powertrain of the vehicle. The ring gear is connected to the carrier, which is actually what turns the tires on the vehicle. Guys, as I turn this tire, you're going to see that ring gear turn, the carrier turn. This actually has a Yukon Grizzly locker in the back, so both of the tires are going the same way. But what you notice is for one rotation of the tire, we get one rotation of the ring gear. If we had a 342 ratio in this, we would get 3.42 turns on the drive shaft or the pinion gear for one rotation of the tire. What we've done here is gone to 488s, which is 4.88 turns of the pinion gear for one rotation of the tire, which is what we would call gearing that down, giving us less pressure on the drive shaft, the transmission, everything like that, and putting it closer to a factory gear ratio. So basically, once you've put larger tires on your truck, you're going to notice a loss of power. Doesn't feel like it has much quickness off of the line, stuff like that. If you're towing, it's going to feel like the weight you're towing is heavier. Why that is more or less you've lost mechanical advantage or leverage through the drivetrain. Larger tires are changing the effective gear ratio. There's lots of calculators you can find online that are going to tell you, you can put in your stock tire size, stock gear ratio, stuff like that, and then the new tires that you have on there, and it'll tell you what gears you need. I always take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, depending on what all's been done to the truck. It doesn't take into account, weight of the new tires are going to be heavier. You got wind resistance, stuff like that. I always err typically a touch deeper. If it's, it says you need to be 4.7, you could do 456 or 488. I'm going to go to 488. It's a little jump, but that's going to take advantage of roll-in resistance, stuff like that. So this customer specifically was going up in tire size, putting a better tire on. He's going to a 38-inch Nitto Trail Grappler. But while we were talking about tire size, he also said, what can you do to make this thing more powerful? I feel like it sucks a ton of fuel and it doesn't have any guts and it's got a big block in it, and it should. He was talking about supercharger or what. And I said, well, first of all, let's open your diffs and see if the thing's been regeared. And he says, oh, I'm sure it's been regeared. There's no way it hasn't. Well, it hadn't. It had 342s in it, and it probably had a 30-inch tire on it stock. So we had a huge disadvantage or lack of leverage or mechanical advantage, however you want to talk about it. And so what we've done is made this huge jump in gear ratio, which is going to give him back to factory RPM, get the motor working where it wants to work, give him all that power back that he lost. So, I mean, this truck had quite a bit of power stock, having a factory big block, and now it's going to feel like it has all that power again. All right, guys, so something that I'm not going to go super in-depth on in this video is lockers. There's lots of different styles, but let's go over what that means. On a typical differential, whichever tire has the least amount of traction is going to be the one spinning. If I were to stand here and spin one tire, the other tire would either spin the opposite way or not spin at all. With this one, it has a Yukon Grizzly locker in the back, similar to a Detroit. Both these tires are going to spin the same way, and the pinion is spinning. So now if I were to spin it the other way, both of them are going forward. That's basically showing if the driveline spinning, both tires are going to be spinning more or less. There's different styles of locker. There's selectable lockers, meaning they can be on and off, open or locked. There's limited slips, which are going to have some slippage to them, and then there's full lockers like these that everything's more or less connected with a little bit of play. There's also what's called a spool or a welded differential where everything is locked all the time. So lots of different options, stuff we'll talk about at another video, or talk to your local off-road shop and we can go over what option is best for you. But worth mentioning, lockers, when you're re-gearing your truck, that's the time to put a locker in because you're already in there doing all the work. Adding a locker to an already re-geared diff is very expensive, And so while you're in there, that's the time to put a locker in it. We're just going to take a quick walk around the shop, talk about some of the different kinds of diffs there are. This is a Jeep. It's got an aftermarket Dynatrac high pinion rear housing in it. It is broken. That's not what we want to see. This has 5/38 high pinion rear with 40s. There is high pinion, there's low pinion differentials. That is more in depth to talk about that we're going to do in this video. We're going to go look at some dropout diffs we have here, some custom stuff, and you can see kind of the differences. This is an aftermarket Dynatrac. Those are factory differentials, 10 1/4 and a Dana 60 that are in that 90s truck we looked at. We're going to look at this billet 10-inch dropout, which is basically what they would call similar to a 9-inch. This is an aftermarket one that's a 10-inch, similar to a Toyota dropout or something like that. So this is a billet aluminum 10-inch, which is, you'd call it like a Ford 9-inch, but everything's been custom. It's got bigger pinion bearings, bigger carrier bearings. It's got a bigger ring and pinion. So that's why it gets the name the 10-inch. It also has here a load bolt on the side, so there's no ring gear deflection under load. It's also got an A or B selectable air locker in it. Very custom stuff, very strong. Really good for these fancy billet axles that are going in this CJ8. Another style of diff that you see real commonly and more commonly these days is, we're going to call this a clamshell diff or an IFS diff, meaning independent front suspension. Any of your newer Toyotas, Chevys, half tons, a lot of trucks these days have IFS fronts. Basically, you have your ring and pinion in here. It sets up completely different. There's not a differential cover. You got to split the thing in half to do it. Labor intensive to set up, but you're still gonna be doing the same. You have your drive line coming off your ring and pinion here. You just have CV axles that go down to the front diff. A little different than the solid axle diffs we're dealing with over there, but another style of diff, still just as important, possibly more important to regear something with the clamshell in it. Hey guys, so this is kind of our overview on changing the gear ratio in your truck or Jeep. A couple things that I just kind of want to reiterate is, one, if you've added bigger tires to your vehicle, you will definitely notice a loss of power. So the first thing you can do with gears is get all that power back. Second thing you're going to notice is your fuel economy. That vehicle is made to run in a certain RPM range when you're going down the highway or in town. And as you go to bigger tires, oftentimes people are worried about the fuel economy. This is a great way to get all that fuel economy back. Thirdly, traction aids. If you're gonna put bigger tires on your vehicle, you're probably wanting to go off-road. It's the perfect time to add a traction aid, which is a locker, selectable, non, whatever it may be. So these are all great things that you gotta do. We all like bigger tires, making our vehicle look cooler, but there's more to that. It's gonna make your transmission last longer, your U-joints, your drive shafts. Everything's gonna last longer if you regear it, and you're gonna get that fuel economy back. If you guys are looking to talk to somebody about regearing, shoot us a call, shoot us an email. We're happy to help answer any questions. If you're local or not, there's lots of benefits to doing it, and we do them every single day here, and we'd love to talk you through it. Guys, that's it for this episode, talking about gearing. Something you wanna do, let us know. If there's something you wanna see us do, comment down below, like, subscribe, share this with your buddies, and we'll see you next time.